So that like leads. So Buddha, when he was sitting there, or he wasn't Buddha yet. He wasn't Buddha yet. When he was Gautama
Mm.
Siddhartha, he was sitting there, and he came up with the four noble truths, which is in life there's always suffering. So that is like, if you live, you will suffer. That's like a truth to all humans. Like look at like animals and stuff. They die. That's suffering. Look at like our current situation. Like life is pretty awesome, but inevitably something like a pandemic might come up and you will suffer.
Zach, are you saying life is meaningless?
No, kinda,
Oh.
kinda.
Oh.
This this is why like Buddhism's kind of tricky, because like coming from a Western perspective, a lot of these ideas are gonna be like, well, what if I do this or whatever. But so your suffering actually comes from attachment. So let's think of like why we're suffering from a pandemic right now. It's because you want to go outside, you want to see friends, you don't want the risk of dying every day. You just want life to be back to normal. That's why you're suffering. Like realistically, nothing really has changed. If you'd agree with that, it's just you want life where there is no pandemic.
All right, what do you mean by nothing has changed? Because a lot has changed.
Oh, fuck, we're going into or getting philosophical. It's like the universe, like nothing has changed. Like this is normal. Pandemics happen. It just it's just like part of life is like pandemics happen. It's like a cycle. It's like if you were complaining about the debt cycle and being like, "Oh man, the economy sucks. We got these
Okay, so
cycles."
you're saying in like the grand scale, nothing's
Yeah. The
changed.
grand
Okay.
scale, nothing's changed. You're still here. Like you still have your whole body. You're like you physically have not changed. Your situation has not changed. Your surroundings may have changed a little bit, but realistically, not too much on a personal level has changed. So it's more about you're tormenting yourself by saying, "Oh, I want the pre-pandemic world." That's really where your suffering comes from. So that's the second noble truth, is that suffering comes from attachment of things, right?
Okay.
And you can actually end this. There's a way to end this suffering. To break out of this, like it's like a wheel kind of thing. Like you're like, oh, I got this thing, and then you sink to a low, and then you keep cycling. You can break out of that. That's called nirvana. It literally means blowing out. And I took this Enneagram test, and there was like I was getting a consultation. There's like a level 1 high functioning or whatever type you are, and I was like, how do you get to a
And what
level
is
1?
this?
The Enneagram test, it's like a personality exam.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So I was like, how do you get to a level 1, which is like a really high functioning level of that personality? And she was like, I don't know if you're religious. And I'm like, oh, is it nirvana? And she's like, yeah, that's nirvana. So nirvana is like a real thing. It's when you end all desire. And be careful, because you can actually end all desire. That doesn't mean like, oh, I will never eat. It's like, maybe we'll get into that. But the way to achieve nirvana is to follow the eightfold path, which is what we're going to get into. So, any questions so far, Akash?
So explain nirvana again. So what do you mean by end all desire? Could you go a little bit into that?
Oi. So, ending all desire, I think, means, now I'm not like a professional, so like bear with me. It might be better to listen to some of the higher ups, the higher up monks out there. But ending all desire means you are, I wouldn't say content. It doesn't mean you don't want to grow. It just means
Okay.
you're okay with the now. You're okay with the fact that you're not famous. You're okay with the fact that your salary is what it is. You're okay with the fact that you're going to die one day, or that all things
Mm-hmm.
die and that suffering is inevitable. You're aware that things, there are no independence of things. Everything is connected. So by that, I mean, like, death is like a construct in our minds. Like when we say death, we think that we disappear, but there is no permanent self in Buddhism or I guess if we say Buddhism is the truth, there is no permanent self in that.
Mm.
Remember the egg from Kyrgyzstan or something?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. So it's we all came from the one, and we go back to the one.
Yeah. So like my actions while I'm quote unquote living, while I'm an animate being, will affect the next person. So in a way, I am there. If we like really get meta on this shit, I am there, but there is no I. So like I don't want to say I, but we are just always there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of
We just
whack.
we are.
We are exactly. So we are like you are the shitty people in the world. We are all. This is terrible. Well, we are Hitler. But we are also Jesus and Gandhi.
Okay.
We're
Okay.
the combination of the evils in the world. Because think about how good people affected the world and how evil people affected the world before us. So you are your parents and you are their parents. You are the combination of everything around you. We're all just one. Yeah, man. Fucking trippy, right?
Trippy AF.
All right. So,
So one more question before you move on.
yeah.
Is nirvana enlightenment?
Yes. So, nirvana is when you detach yourself from desire, when you end suffering. You're just there. And it's like the highest self you can be. And this is like the biggest focus of Buddhism. So when Gautama was sitting at the tree, when he woke from that meditation after 49 days, he reached nirvana, enlightenment, his true self, like the highest intelligence you can have. He reached it. It's attainable, but it's also extremely difficult. By wanting to attain nirvana, I think this is like a philosophy or something that I read a while ago, but I think by wanting to attain nirvana, you've already failed to attain nirvana. Nirvana
Okay.
itself, you don't even know you attain nirvana. So it's like one of those things where you don't know. It's like if you look, it's over.
So okay, so you said there are these 8 steps, so I guess we're just gonna get into that to achieve nirvana. If you're going through the steps, doesn't it mean you can't achieve nirvana?
Kinda, kinda. So the main goal is to get to nirvana, but the other goal is not necessarily to shoot for nirvana. Like that, it's like an end goal. If we think about like our whole goal thing, it's like the goal that you want to get to that's like unobtainable or whatever. It's the thing you're always chasing that you're never going to reach. But it is the other thing that they try to do is just like being a good person per se, or just like being a good person is like what you do. So these 8 steps will make you a better person
Mm.
while you're on your journey to nirvana. So nirvana is like the target, but the other, like the real goal that you should be shooting for is like being a better person.
Okay.
So yeah, so we have these a noble eightfold path. This is the path to liberation. Liberation is when you reach nirvana. Yeah. So we're gonna go over those steps. There's like a big